right, welcome to an update video for Philosophy Portal. This update video is sort of meant to give you a general overview of what's going on behind the scenes, going on inside Philosophy Portal. So if that's something that interests you, stay tuned and hope to give you some insight into really what's happening, because basically, ever since I started Philosophy Portal, one of the most difficult things about this project has been just how much, I think, cool stuff is going on behind the scenes, how much cool stuff is going on, which is basically inside the website, inside the overall project. So this update video, maybe these will be regular yearly updates, or maybe even biannual, just about what's going on. The first thing is that Philosophy Portal has been focused on the Science of Logic course, and this has been taught in 3 major divisions, which of course reflect the Science of Logic book by Hegel. The course started on January 16th. February, each month has been dedicated to a different doctrine. So in February, we focused on the doctrine of being. In March, we focused on the doctrine of essence. And in April, we're going to be focused on the doctrine of concept. This has been a huge undertaking, but at the same time, and I might be a little bit biased because I'm right in the middle of teaching it, but it's been one of the most profound undertakings for Philosophy Portal so far. It is an overwhelming text, and in my opinion, perhaps Hegel's most central work, the work which occupied and dominated his intellect throughout the majority of his mature period. And my whole aim in teaching the science of logic has been to bring it to life for today. So the course itself really tries to engage contemporary content with basically the form of Hegel's logic, underneath the presupposition that the form of Hegel's logic is just as relevant today as it was when Hegel was writing, if not even more important today than when Hegel was writing. So the argument throughout the course and the case I've been making throughout the course has been the form of this logic is incredibly useful when we're thinking about problems of evolutionary science, thinking about politics, thinking about the physical sciences, and of course, when we're thinking about the nature of our own subjectivity in the context of our contemporary information age or digital age society. So that's been going on, and that's been the major project this year. Again, a huge undertaking. I can't even start to communicate how many hours have been put into making this course what it is. And there's been a strong student engagement throughout the course. So, and that's really just the start, because of course, as in all courses, there will be an anthology and a conference, and hopefully a lot of the things that have been going on behind the scenes will see the light of day in the conference and the anthology much later into the year. And I have to add that this course would not be what it is if it wasn't for the guest lectures. This is the first course I've been teaching through Philosophy Portal with guest lectures. And in the same way that my aim in the lectures has been to bring the form of Hegel's logic alive with contemporary content, the guest lectures are really doubling down on that idea. We brought in Thomas Hammelrich, who's of course a professor at the University of Copenhagen. He did a fantastic job of connecting Hegel's logic to Carl Friston's work in the brain sciences with the unified theory of the brain. William Rupusch is a doctoral candidate in quantum physics, who is experimenting with the relationship between Hegel's logic and category theory. This is extraordinarily illuminating. Alex Ebert, of course, a great musician and general creative, has been focused on dynamics of lack and excess, and specifically how dynamics of lack and excess sort of function to illuminate the phenomenon of, or the concept of sublation. And he applies that to creativity, applies that to his emerging theory of freak theory, frequency theory, and of course Daniel Garner, who is focused on the idea of the modern counter-enlightenment, which is a strain of thought which has not had a historical backbone, but which is sort of running along a counterintuitive logic. And he sees Hegel and he sees the science of logic as providing a historical backbone for this, not only for this counterintuitive logic, but also for a multiplicity of different thinkers who have been overlooked in the history of modern philosophy. And that was a particularly convincing presentation, and yet to present, but also will be presenting at the end of the month. Layman Pascal and Thomas Wynne presenting on integral theory and Heidegger, as well as the continental tradition. So I'm also looking forward to that. And so, coupled with my lectures and these guest lectures, really the course is trying to make the case that there is, it's well worth the effort to learn the foundations, to learn the basics of Hegel's logic, because putting that logic into engagement with our contemporary knowledge foundation might produce great effects in the sciences, in mathematics, thinking about general creativity, even paradigmatic political philosophy like the counter-enlightenment, or paradigmatic metaphysics like integral theory, or rethinking 20th century philosophy like Heidegger and the continental tradition. So really, I think a great collective effort, and again, really interested to see what comes out of this course in the longer term. Just a reminder that now that Philosophy Portal has sort of been established, there are recorded courses which are available for a lifetime. You sign up for these courses, you get access to all of the original materials in the course. You get access to all of the anthologies which were produced for these courses, and you basically become a part of the Philosophy Portal community, which is dedicated to understanding the foundations of modern discourse and bringing it to life for today. So since I've been starting to give these courses, we've got a recorded course on the Freudian unconscious with materials from 2019, but also some updated materials from 2021, which I basically added to the original course to bring it into some coherence in the context of Philosophy Portal, in the context of the fact that when I originally did this course, Philosophy Portal did not exist. You've got the two courses that I led from 2021, the Phenomenology of Spirit and Thus Spoke Zarathustra. So if you're interested in Hegel, you're interested in understanding the phenomenology, or if you're interested in Nietzsche, you're interested in diving into Thus Spoke Zarathustra, these courses are there. These courses are there for as long as Philosophy Portal exists, and you can sign up for these courses at any time. Just reach out to me if you're interested in learning more about these courses, learning about what they include, and how they might benefit your reading experience while working through some of the texts. And of course, as Philosophy Portal continues to grow, hopefully the number of courses, the number of thinkers that we can approach and engage with, the larger our ecology of thought, the larger our capacity to satisfy many different philosophical inclinations, right? The psychoanalytic, the existential, the phenomenological, the logical, and we'll keep expanding as as time goes on. So check those out if you're interested. There are also a great number of upcoming works. It's going to be a busy 2023, starting with Alenka Zupancic, What is Sex? This is going to be a mini intensive course which starts May 7th in collaboration with Theory Underground, specifically with David McCarricker. Extremely excited about this collaboration, extremely excited about the conversations and the dynamics that can emerge in the collision between the Philosophy Portal community and the Theory Underground community. These are two active philosophical communities which are trying to engage with contemporary philosophy and have many different synergistic edges. And they're both just very early creative projects with a lot of good energy. So I'm super excited about that. And of course, Alenka's work, What is Sex? I'm a huge fan of this work. Of course, I did a YouTube series on it a few years ago, but this mini intensive is going to be something different. It's going to offer an actual conversation space for this text. And I'm going to be able to bring this text to life in a way that I wasn't able to with just the YouTube series. So also, we're experimenting, David and I are experimenting with our presentation style, with our collaboration style. And I think that not only pushes sort of the Philosophy Portal mission further, but it also creates a richer dynamic with other sort of philosophical communities. So I'm excited about that. May 7th, again, you can find that online at Philosophy Portal if you're interested in signing up for that and joining us. And as I mentioned, Dave and I already have some preview materials which are available on YouTube. We did a covering of the introduction on my channel, and we also did a more conversational style video on Theory Underground. So if you're interested, if you just want to pique your curiosity a little bit about what this course is about, I would point you towards those two videos, and I'll leave links in the description to both. And then the second big course of the year is going to be on Lacan's Cree. It's a full course which starts July 16th. There are already 2 guest lectures announced for that course, so it won't just be myself. We'll also be inviting on Peter Rollins, who is self-proclaimed pyrotheologist, a brilliant mind. He has been an incredibly innovative intelligence, not only after having finished his doctorate, but also experimenting with how to engage the intersection of theology and philosophy in a very dynamic and very creative way. So I'm going to be interested to see what he brings to Lacan's Cree. He's obviously, his pyrotheology is very much inspired by Lacan, very much inspired by thinkers like Slavoj Žižek, and of course he just puts his own spin on it all. So that's something to look forward to, as well as Isabel Millar, who I think is one of the most exciting young theorists to come up today. Somewhat of a contemporary, we're around the same age. We finished our doctorates around the same time. I feel like after having a chance to having had conversations with her about her work and going back and forth about the intersections between psychoanalysis and technology, that we have so many things to discuss moving into the future. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring her on, but also because she's writing another work which is coming out this year called Patty Politics, about about politics relevant to psychoanalysis, the politics of suffering, the politics of enjoyment, and the paradoxes of the way psychoanalysis conceives of suffering and enjoyment. And just really excited to see what she brings to Lacan's Cree course. Of course, she, in her doctoral thesis work, is incredibly inspired by Lacan's Cree and Lacan as a thinker in general. So that's also something to look forward to. And we'll have more guest lectures announced in the coming month, so look out for that. And there'll be early bird specials on both Lacan's Cree and What is Sex until April 30th. So you don't want to, if you're going to take these courses, you don't want to miss out on the early bird. And there is also a special where you can, if you want to take both, you can sign up to a tier within the Lacan's Cree course, which will include both. So you can just sign up for them both in one in one early bird payment. So if you're interested in that, that will basically be the major creative work which is going on. I suppose from May onwards, May until the end of the year, basically. So a lot to look forward to there, and a kind of a psychoanalytic spin for Philosophy Portal, which has up till now focused more on Hegel's work and Nietzsche's work, and really excited to give Lacan's work it's the attention it deserves, basically, and to give it the sort of the treatment that I feel like is necessary in contemporary philosophy to really move through deeply the psychoanalytic moment. So that's another thing to look out for. I also launched a new book, Systems and Subjects, Thinking the Foundations of Science and Philosophy. This is a book which I primarily was working on in 2019 in terms of its original research, focused on the work of contemporary system science, as well as the foundations of system science from Ludwig von Bertalanffy. I was at the time doing a postdoc at the Bertalanffy Center for the Study of System Science, which was an opportunity that emerged after completing my doctorate. Really there, I have been editing and updating it for the last few years, but just due to circumstances, due to some technicalities, wasn't able to release the book. But this is an important book in my overall intellectual development, and I think it really holds up. Ever since, there's a lot of anxiety, of course, releasing it because it had been unreleased for a significant amount of time. But after releasing it, I feel very good about it. I think it really can stand on its own as, I suppose, my second solo book. And really here trying to think dialectically at the intersections of system science on the one hand and continental philosophy on the other hand, and trying to push the discourse further, constantly staying in touch with both the foundations of science and philosophy, but the way in which they are interacting in our contemporary time. And I think that this book does add something new to the literature. It adds something new to the larger conversation at the intersection of science and philosophy. So if that's something that interests you, I would definitely recommend checking that out. And I'll leave a description in the link to that book, and hope you enjoy it. Incoming, we have the second official anthology for Philosophy Portal, set to be released sometime around the end of May 2023. Something to look out for. This will be out for the summer. Abyssal Arrows is inspired by the Thus Spoke Zarathustra course. And this is going to be such a rich book. So there will be works from me, several works from me actually, as well as works from Daniel Garner, Layman Pascal, Thomas Hammelrick, Thomas Wynne, Alex Ebert, and much, much more. This is going to be an incredibly rich book. It's going to represent an incredible diversity of thought within what you might want to call the liminal web, or at least the more philosophically inclined areas of the liminal web. And again, that'll be released May 2023. I think it's a unique and it's a profound step forward for Philosophy Portal, and really shows what can be done by a multiplicity of minds when you have the chance to focus for a prolonged and extended period of time on a single thinker, on a single text, and really also reflects a lot of the concrete actuality of what's going on in the ground. There's a lot of texts here that reflect a lot of liminal web activity, a lot of liminal web thought. And, something like this, I don't know if it really exists in the Nietzschean literature. So again, I think it'll be a novel contribution, something to look out for. Great summer reading that is incoming. There are, of course, older books available on Philosophy Portal. I never, for example, have given, I think, the shine that Global Brain Singularity deserves. It's my doctoral thesis. Really, 5 years of formal work went into the completion of it, as well as a few years even before I formally started writing it. in a doctoral program. So a lot of my intellectual time and energy went into this book. And for various reasons, I haven't focused on it as much as I perhaps should have in terms of giving it some online exposure. Maybe that will change moving forward. It's again, it was only published a few years ago, so and I'm excited to dive into it, a few years after, getting some retrospective reflections onto it. And also Sex, Masculinity, and God, which was released around the same time with Kevin Oros and Daniel Dick. I think that's also it's a lighter book. It's a conversational book. I think it's a great conversation starter. A lot of the feedback I've gotten around that book is that it's a great book to have as a companion if you're leading a men's circle or if you're doing men's work. A lot of the topics that we bring up there in chapter titles, like the reality of sexual difference, or gender trouble, or love and death, or there's several important themes: pain and suffering and sexuality. So each of those chapter titles makes for a good opening to a men's circle, or just a community circle, or just a conversation space. And so I think that book is well worth checking out if you haven't checked it out yet. And of course, Enter the Alien, which is the first anthology that Philosophy Portal produced. And that's really inspired from working through the phenomenology of spirit. And a lot of the first time authors in that anthology will also be publishing in Abyssal Arrows. So it's also good to sort of stay in touch with this community of minds, which are growing, developing, and I think have a lot of chance to sort of set an interesting philosophical tone for our time, because a lot of the guys working in Philosophy Portal are extremely bright, up and coming minds, and just making I think novel contributions. So check that out. Enter the Alien, the first anthology from Philosophy Portal, which would be a good complement with the second anthology, Abyssal Arrows. Finally, on the tube, I've had some great conversations in the last month or two. First with Michael Downs and David McCarricker for They Know Not What They Do. This was previewing a course which is being led by Michael Downs on Slavoj Žižek's work, For They Know Not What They Do. Michael Downs and David McCarricker, not enough good things I can say about these guys. They brand themselves as working class underground theorists. That they pride themselves on, not only coming from the working class, but really doing real theoretical work and breaking down a lot of those barriers between the so-called ivory towers and the rest of society, and also taking a stand in philosophy in regards to the work of Slavoj Žižek, and really trying to connect that moment of philosophy with a larger public, with a larger audience. And I can't think of a better duo to lead a course on Slavoj Žižek's work. And if you're interested in that, check out the conversation I had with them, and there'll be links in the description to the course Through Theory Underground, For They Know Not What They Do. The next talk I had was Psychoanalysis of Artificial Intelligence. Had a chance to talk to Isabel Millar about her doctoral thesis. And again, there's so much richness, I think, between us when talking about this topic, because I did my PhD thesis on the global brain singularity. She did her PhD thesis also on a singularity related topic, approaching it from a different angle. And just really think that when you combine both of our minds there in conversation, I think something interesting came out. Again, very interesting to see what the conversations between us might hold in the future. And highly recommend checking out her work, The Psychoanalysis of Artificial Intelligence, because it is a really creative book, and I think it precisely focuses at an intersection which is usually never explored, that of again, psychoanalysis, the continental tradition, and modern science, the technologist tradition. Then I had a conversation with Todd McGowan about the racist fantasy. Todd's been extremely prolific in the last few years. We had our first conversation together a few years ago, focused on his book, Emancipation After Hegel, which is one of my favorite conversations, and wanted to bring him back on because he had written a few books. And The Racist Fantasy is a book which not only I think is a brave book, it's a courageous book to approach that topic, but also that book had not gotten too much attention, I saw, within the larger intellectual community. And I wanted a chance to unpack some of those ideas, and I thought that we had a great chance to reconnect, and a great chance to go into some of the more technical details of what he's trying to achieve there with the book The Racist Fantasy. So check that out if you're interested. And finally, The Orthodox Heretic with Peter Rollins is a conversation that really set me on fire. I love Peter's work. I love Peter's spirit, and he is really a treasure, I think, for an important voice for the contemporary moment. So that was a real joy. Check out The Orthodox Heretic. I think that was a fantastic conversation. And of course, check out the book, The Orthodox Heretic, which he wrote several years ago, but I still think is incredibly relevant and important to read today. All right, so these are some of the things going on behind the scenes. This gives you an overview of what's been going on at Philosophy Portal. There's many ways to get involved. There's the Science of Logic course. There are the recorded courses, Freudian Unconscious, Phenomenology of Spirit, thus spoke Zarathustra. If you are looking for a way into contemporary philosophy, Philosophy Portal is a great place to start your philosophical inquiry, and not just learn these foundational texts, but to get involved, to write, to present, to become your own creative force, and to find your voice in philosophy. There is no reason why a curious mind with access to this much knowledge and this much foundational instruction cannot become a creative voice and a creative mind in this contemporary philosophical ecology. We also have live courses coming up, upcoming courses focused on what is sex, May 7th, the Creed, July 16th. Both are available in a package together, and there's an early bird available until April 30th. So check that out if you're interested in working with me directly, if you're interested in reading these texts, interested in this intersection between philosophy and psychoanalysis. This is the place to be. This is the place to learn in 2023. Then, of course, there are some books which you can pick up. Systems and Subjects is my newest book. Abyssal Arrows is an anthology which is upcoming. There are some older books which they're just a few years old, but foundational texts: Global Brain Singularity, Sex, Masculinity, God, Enter the Alien, the Collective Anthology, and The Tube. Just stuff available for free. Discussions with, I think, some of the most interesting voices in our intellectual circles today: Michael Downs, David McCarricker, Isabel Millar, Todd McGowan, Peter Rollins. So a lot to check out there, a lot of ways to get involved in Philosophy Portal. And of course, you can always reach out to me on philosophyportal.online if you want to work with me one-on-one. If you just want to ask me a question about some of the work that's been going on, how to get involved, try to be responsive as I can, and certainly open to new curious minds. All right, so that's an update for Philosophy Portal 2023. Again, I'll probably give these updates, not on a regular basis, but just when I feel like there's enough that's been going on that requires some further explication, a further unpacking to let all you know about what's really going on in the totality of this work, and the way I see its connections and the way I see it moving forward. All right, so check it out, www.philosophyportal.online. My name's Cadell Last. Thanks for tuning in if you've been watching this whole thing, and hope to see you in a future event or a future course in 2023.